Hi, my name is Irena Swanson, and this is the second part of a three-part series on making rows of half-square triangles using the method that I call tube piecing. Links to the videos of the other two parts appear here and also in the description of this video. For tube piecing, visit my webpage www.tubepiecing.com. This project is the fastest and smallest of the three, so if you want to just give tube piecing a try, this is a good one. We will be making 4 rectangles like that, and there's a hole here. There are 4 rectangles, some are rotated, and 2 of the rectangles have light triangles in the corners and 2 have dark triangles in the corners. We will be making them by creating rows like this. Each one has 5 squares of half-square triangles in them, and you will make 6 such rows to make into one rectangle, and then there will be a total of 24 such rows for all 4 rectangles. The swirls that we will make will rotate opposite from how these work. You want to use varied fabrics because they're much more efficient ways of making swirls of uniform color. So all you need is 6 dark and 6 light strips, all cut at strip width 2 and 9/32 of an inch. You want to use a variety, and you will sew them together at an offset which is exactly ½ an inch less than the width. So 1 inch plus 3/4 of an inch plus 1/32 of an inch. You sew them together, and here is an example already pressed and trimmed off at precisely 45 degrees. Then what you have to do is the 2 outside strips have to be sewn together. Details are in the first part. Here is that last seam already sewn together precisely. You release, you get a primary wide tube. You may want to press this latest seam, turn the tube inside out, and here is that primary wide tube, and I already cut off 2 primary narrow tubes at tube width 2½ inches. In this case, unlike in the first part, you want to match darks to darks. Again, you want to rotate a little bit so you don't have lights together. Darks to darks, you line them up at seam, you sew, and because the alignment is along the edges on the right side, that creates planned ½ inch gaps between parallelograms. Since you will get 10 or 11 primary narrow tubes from the primary wide tube, you will get 10 of those, and then you sew them together into 2 secondary wide tubes. This one I already cut across. So from this X secondary wide tube, I will get 12 rows like this, and from my second secondary wide tube, I will get 12 more, so for a total of 24 rows. Here is a secondary wide tube cut up apart, and then when you have 12 of them, 12 rows, you can start making these rectangles. Notice that in one of these future rectangles, the darks on these top and bottom corners are dark, and in the other one they're light. That's necessary for the swirls. You also want to make sure that seam allowances in one row are opposite to the seam allowances in the other. Anyway, then you sew these rows together and you get yourself rectangles like this. And if you make more than just 1 primary wide tube, you will get more of primary narrow tubes, and you can create much wider examples. Here are 7 rows. Each one has 6 squares of half-square triangles, and they're positioned not in a swirly way, but in a straightforward way. And then here's another option. Here, this is 6 rows. Each one has 6 half-square triangles, and I can start putting them together. 2 squares make half of a big square, and 2 of them, similarly ones, already sewed together. And these can be positioned to have concentric squares, or I could position this on top to get arrows pointing in. So there are lots of options for making rows of half-square triangles and then using them.